Alright guys, welcome to part 2 of the last long form video where I'm going to be installing these 3D printed parts, which if you've seen one of my most recent shorts, you can see I was printing these. It's also really dirty, so I'm also going to be cleaning it off in this video, and there's some parts that need to be tightened. Some of the brakes aren't tight enough, the front wheel isn't tightened enough, and the drop bars are not tightened enough, so I'm going to be tightening some of the stuff up as well. Alright, we're doing the 3D printed parts first. Sorry if you hear cars and stuff. It is pretty loud, but I have noise canceling on my mics. So I put these ones where I'm gonna put them is right here, on either side of the wheel. Also, because this little thing has to push down and this bolt was in the way, I loosened these and pushed them all the way up to the very top. Just so like if anybody has a problem with that, don't take this bolt out because you don't want to lose it. Just unscrew these bolts and push this piece as up as possible. But you kind of just set it in there, and sometimes you have to apply a little bit of force because right now I'm on a bike stand and I do not want to knock it over. So you kind of slide it on. It doesn't take very much force, but yeah. Put the water bottle right here. Oh, come on. Probably because my soda is all sticky now. This one right here is basically unusable because this coupling, the distance between the coupling and stuff is not enough, since this wraps all the way around the B rail and down a little bit, so it gets in the way of this. You can see like B rail ends here, so it gets in the way. This can still bend, just you can't really put anything there. Need to tighten the quick release because the quick release got loose end here. Need to tighten the front brake a tiny bit. Clean the back brake because there's some grime on it. I want this to actually stay kind of clean. Clean here where next to the wheel, especially right here because I want these wires to stay clean. And then I really need to tighten this since this fell over twice and almost killed me. Got to bring out the trusty multi-tool. All right, here is how you tighten and loosen brakes. Right here, the brake lever, that when you squeeze it, so look, spin the wheel, when I squeeze it, it's gonna apply pressure to the wheel. Let's see if I can hear it here. There. Hopefully that worked. You just have to basically loosen this, but be careful because you can kind of screw up your brakes. Oop, wrong one. You can kind of screw up your brakes. This, bro, what the heck? I just not doing this right? There we go, okay. Alright, so you're basically just gonna loosen it enough to where you can move the wire. Right? But not too much because you still want to be able to tighten it. And you're gonna find that sweet spot. Here, let's push this table more out of the way. You're gonna try and find that sweet spot. So there it is for me. Oh, and then once I tighten it, I'm gonna use both hands. You want the sucker pretty gosh darn tight. Hand tighten it so you can tell, but you want it pretty tight so that it doesn't loosen up. And then, all right, here. Oop. Check the front brakes, and they aren't touching the handlebar. They're close, but they're not. Back brakes, they're not touching the handlebar either. Shifters are fine. Now let's go on to this. Okay, so the way you loosen handlebars is you use these 4 screws. There's one under these wires, and there's one right behind here. I really only loosen these 2 screws and tighten them and stuff, and I've really messed this one up a little bit. Yeah, let's see if we can see it here. The frame in the metal there, and that one's not as bad, but you can still kind of see the frame in the metal. Come on. Alright, I'm just gonna hand tighten these. Alright, that one's tight enough. Also, you want to tighten these periodically, so like maybe one turn, then go to the other one turn, go to the other one. Because if you tighten one all the way down, the other one's gonna have a ton of force on it, and it's gonna be really hard to tighten, and you can put too much force on your thread. Alright, so that's pretty good. Now let's move on to the back brake. You want to make sure that you clean your gears. At least try and clean your gears after every single ride, because they can get real dirty and real rusty, and then gear shifting and all kinds of stuff gets all messed up. So right here, right now I'm just doing this middle sprocket, and then I'll just do the back sprocket, and then I'm just going to clean the body off. Alright, now I'm just going to clean the body off, and then you want you want a wet towel, and then you want a dry towel, because you don't want to leave your bike wet. Well, preferably. Sometimes you're doing a real deep clean, you do, but usually you don't, and you just want to get most of the mud off and most of the grime so that doesn't get caked on there and end up causing problems later down the road. There's also 2 screws here, so I may end up putting a B-rail here, because you can get a GoPro mount. I think it'd be pretty cool to put a GoPro right there. Well, alright guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.